evening. Welcome to Election 2022, a WEBN Political Pulse live election night special. I'm Sam DeCoste.
And I'm Faith Pinnow. Tonight you will hear from correspondents on the House, Senate, and gubernatorial races. We also have live reporters at Maura, Healey, and Geoff Diehl's parties. We go first to Payton Cavanaugh, who joins us live from gubernatorial candidate Maura Healey's election night party at the Fairmont Copley Plaza. Payton spoke with Healey on the campaign trail earlier this week. Payton, what do you have for us?
We're here at the Fairmont Copley Plaza for Healey and Driscoll's campaign party for the election. We're very excited. People are piling into the room. Supporters are very excited to hear them speak. Healey is keeping a focus on getting the community to the polls, thanking supporters, thanking volunteers for all of their hard work. Maura Healey continues on the campaign trail for governor of Massachusetts. Healey's grassroots movement bringing together community and bringing a friendly face to office. Healey and Driscoll are here at Mike's Pastries in the North End, handing out cannolis to bring together the community.
Tax attorney and community member of Braintree, John C. Mullaney, came out to Mike's for some pastries and was pleasantly met with Healey and her team.
I think she is making such a difference. She has imaginative ideas, and the number one reason I'm supporting her, I think she's probably the most important, most honest politician in Massachusetts. People want to know who their representative is going to be, and they know who she is, and she's the most incredible woman I have ever met in my life.
Healey spoke to the importance of immersing yourself within the communities you serve and how that is one of the forefronts of her administration.
This is how you get a pulse on what you need to do in government. It's the way I've operated as Attorney General, and certainly the way that a Healey-Driscoll administration will operate. You saw us today asking a lot of questions, talking about supply chain, talking about workforce issues, talking about some of the challenges that these businesses are facing right now, and that will help us better think about the things that we can and must do to support our businesses, to support our residents, and support our wonderful communities across the state.
From Boston, I'm Payton Cavanaugh, WEBN.
The polls have closed in Massachusetts as of a few moments ago. Polls closing at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Now, we do know that for the governor of Massachusetts race, we could have the first ever openly gay governor of Massachusetts as well if Maura Healey is elected tonight.
Correct, both in Oregon and in Massachusetts. So this could be huge.
We're here at Geoff Diehl's election night party where Rick Green just said that they are not yet accepting the results of the election that AP just announced. AP just announced that Maura Healey is the next governor of Massachusetts, but the Diehl party is not accepting that. So this week, I learned more about Geoff Diehl and the Republican Party of Massachusetts. So you're going to hear a little bit more about that right now. From Boston Harbor Hotel, I'm Katie Delaney, WEBN News.
In a state known for its moderate Republican governors like Turley Baker and Bill Weld, Massachusetts Republican governor candidate Geoff Diehl, a Trump-backed conservative, has gone against the grain with his candidacy.
As governor, Geoff Diehl says he would make the economy one of his priorities. This includes enacting tax cuts, creating new jobs, and supporting businesses.
We're going to make this state affordable and a prosperous state for everybody to come to. We're going to bring businesses back. We can't keep driving out businesses out of Massachusetts.
Diehl also supports ending all COVID vaccine and mask mandates. He's spoken out against the firing of state workers for refusing vaccines, which Governor Baker enacted.
Every single one of those workers that work for the state should be getting their jobs back.
Diehl is also pushing for parents to have more of a say when it comes to their kids' education and medical care. Richard Parr, senior research director with the Mass Inc. polling group, says that Diehl's conservative campaign is causing him to fall behind in the polls. The group's most recent poll found that 53% of voters supported Healey and 23% Diehl.
You can't really be successful as a Republican candidate statewide unless you're getting some Democrats to come over and pull the lever for you.
Governor Baker, as a moderate Republican, has high favorability from both parties, 71% of Democrats and 58% of Republicans.
So Geoff Diehl is not getting those sorts of numbers.
Parr said that the Republican Party in Massachusetts has moved far to the right in recent years, so Diehl is doing well with Republicans in the state, but without much support from Democrats, it may not be enough to win the race.
Diehl and his supporters are still confident that he'll win the election, getting some conservative representation in an overwhelmingly blue state. From the State House, I'm Katie Delaney, WEBN News.
If elected, Maura Healey will become the first openly gay governor of Massachusetts, as Sam pointed out earlier. Andrea Campbell could become the first Black woman attorney general. This week, I had the opportunity to explore the historic nature of this election.
Never before has Massachusetts had the opportunity to elect an all-female state executive office. The 2022 midterms bring with it the chance for the Commonwealth to elect their first female governor, joined by a female lieutenant governor, attorney general, state treasurer, and state auditor. This all-female executive office could be the first in the country, a likely bid as Election Day draws to a close with gubernatorial candidate Maura Healey and her running mate Kim Driscoll leading in the polls. There's a lot on the line for voters, and this election has the power to send an important message to the future generations of Massachusetts.
The message today, kids, is you can be anything that you want to be.
Massachusetts ranks just 24th in the country for women in state legislature. Only 50 out of 200 state legislators are women, and just 3 seats in the House of Representatives are filled by women. According to Kat Klein of the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus, representation is critical, not just for inspiring future generations of leaders, but for encouraging women to take political action at their state and local levels.
It's important that folks are able to see themselves in those positions. So seeing women as the governor, having a first Black woman elected statewide, sets a precedent and a visibility that lets more folks see themselves in public office.
During one of her last campaigning efforts in Boston, Maura Healey emphasized once again the important influence this election could have on women across the country.
At the end of the day, we're going to have better laws and policies when those in office, just like those in boardrooms, reflect the diversity of the populations that they serve or work on behalf of. And, that's just something that studies show.
With election night now upon us, all eyes are on Massachusetts as we wait to find out the results of the historic 2022 midterms. For WEBN from Boston, I'm Faith Pinnow.
Welcome back to Election 2022. We're going to check in on some key elections in battleground states, beginning with Jaeel Beato, who has the latest on select Senate races. Jaeel, good evening. What do you have for us?
Thank you, Sam. Republicans only need to net 1 seat to win control of the chamber, and polls show many key races are neck and neck. We are looking at 5 main races tonight to see who will take the Senate majority. The list includes Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Georgia. Georgia has the closest Senate race in the country and could be headed for a runoff election. Meanwhile, Nevada is one of the most competitive states, with the GOP looking to flip both House and state and Senate. The Pennsylvania Senate race is still too early to call. 5% of expected votes are currently in. Democrat John Fetterman is in the lead with 84.6% of the vote. Precincts covering Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are in, leaving more rural areas to still report their numbers. Exit polls show that Black and Latino voters heavily leaning blue, while white voters are split. I'll be watching Senate races in battleground states all night. Back to you at the desk.
We're going to take a short break, but stay with us for more exciting election night coverage. Welcome back to Election 2022. I'm Faith Pinnow, and I'm joined tonight by Sam DeCoste. We now go to our correspondent, Erin Palacios, for the latest.
Connecticut polls closed at 8 p.m. Incumbent Jahana Hayes faces Republican challenger George Logan. Hayes made history in 2018 as the first Black woman to serve in Congress. This is a tight race, but updates are coming as ballots are counted. Over half of the votes from North Carolina's 13th district are in. Democrat Wiley Nickel is ahead in the polls currently, although this is subject to change as more ballots are counted. This includes mail-in ballots, which will be counted last and tend to lean towards Democrats. New York voting is ongoing, with polls closing at 9 p.m. tonight. Democrat Maloney is focusing on protecting abortion rights. He is backed by Planned Parenthood. He is also focusing on environmental issues and protecting the Hudson Valley. Republican Lawler plans to reduce the state's tax burden, provide law enforcement with resources needed to do their work, and crafting legislation to improve public safety. Updates on New York are soon to come. That's all I have. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Erin. Now, in April, the Emerson College Polling Center launched Unlocking the Hispanic Vote, a nationwide research project with Hispanic voters and non-registered citizens. The goal of the project was to better understand the Hispanic attitudes and beliefs. Let's hear from Jaeel Beato to learn more about the project and the results ahead of this midterm election.
I'm currently standing at the nationally ranked Emerson College Polling Center, which is dedicated to accurately reflecting populations through public opinion research. Most recently, the polling center has launched a Hispanic research initiative. This April, the Emerson College Polling Center launched Unlocking the Hispanic Vote, a nationwide Hispanic voter and non-registered citizen research project. Executive Director of Emerson College Polling, Spencer Kimball, spoke about how this project came to life.
So this was an initiative that I kind of dreamed up during the 2020 election as we started to see Hispanic voters shift down in South Florida, down in Texas. And then in the special election in California in 2021, we watched that Hispanic vote shift away from Gavin Newsom back in early of that recall, shift back to him in the last couple of weeks of the recall. And we said, hey, there's something going on with this Hispanic vote.
The Hispanic population continues to grow exponentially, and so is their influence on United States politics. Kimball shared why their studies are important.
We're able to better understand not just Hispanic voters, but those who are not registered to vote and why they're not registered. And because the Hispanic population is growing so quickly, they're becoming more of a force in U.S. politics, and we think it's very important to study.
The Hispanic vote is valuable and one that truly matters. From the Emerson College Polling Center, for WEBN, I'm Jaeel Beato.
Welcome back to WEBN. I'm joined tonight by Trey Ficillo. Hi, Trey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Trey, you are the Deputy Director of Campus Engagement for the Maura Healey campaign. Can you just speak a little bit about what it's like being involved in one of the most historic elections that Massachusetts has seen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a really great opportunity. I've been involved in political campaigns for a few years now, mostly municipal elections back in my hometown in Marlborough, Massachusetts. But to be working kind of in the midterms this year and following the midterms all across the nation, it's been a lot of fun, both here at Emerson and then with my job. It's been a great experience and something that I'd really encourage, any college students who are interested in politics to get involved, because at the end of the day, all politics is local politics, in my opinion. So it's been a really great opportunity getting to meet tons of people, especially a lot of people here in the Emerson community who are involved in various campaigns all across the state and even nationally, which has been really, really cool.
Sure. I mean, what a better campus than Emerson to find those people who are eager to get involved, and like you said, every political involvement is local. You call yourself a believer in grassroots organizing, which is something that Maura Healey and Kim Driscoll have really identified with so far in their campaign. How does grassroots campaigning really get voters involved, and how did you get involved with it yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always been kind of a studier of just political campaigns in general. So in high school, obviously kind of learning about candidates here in the state and candidates in history that have done a really great job going out there and organizing at the grassroots level. So meeting people where they are, knocking on doors, shaking hands, meeting as many constituents as they can. And so for me personally, I've really taken that to heart. The first campaign I really got involved with was a city councilor back in my hometown named Samantha Perlman. She's very, very young, the youngest woman ever elected to the city council in my hometown. So she really inspired me to really get out that vote, to go out there and to meet as many residents as you can. And that's really what she did. She went out, she met every single person she could in our community, which is about 42,000 people. And she really made it, took it upon herself to go out there and to hear what residents wanted, to hear what kind of change they wanted, to hear what was working, and then what we needed to improve upon. So from there, I've really been a big fan of that style of campaigning. It's what I take with me, really any cause. It doesn't necessarily have to be political, but really anything that you're doing, being out there in front of people, being a voice for people, and then also a good listener to people, hear what they have to say. And that's really what's been a big part of my career so far, both in politics, but then also outside of politics.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's something that's proven to be a really big game changer, I think, so far in these midterms. Now, you have a lot of experience, obviously, with campaigning so far, especially for being so young, but with utilizing social media and specifically digital communications. How important has that been so far in the campaigns that you've worked on and in this specifically in targeting those youth communities?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think I'll go back to kind of like 2019, 2020, the onset of COVID. Everybody was plugged in, everybody was online. And so for me personally, I was one of those people. I was online all the time, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, any sort of social media, and I started to get news, I started to get a lot of content flowing my way, and I think for a lot of campaigns we realized this is a good opportunity to reach people. And so for me personally, I think I've done a good job of going out there and trying to use social media to my advantage to reach my friends, my families, and even so simple as to remind them, hey, we have an election coming up, make sure you get out and vote. And so things like that. I personally, I voted early both in the primaries and in the general election here, so I made sure to go onto Twitter, posted a picture of myself at City Hall doing early voting, just to recommend and to tell people, hey, this is an opportunity the next week and a half to, if you're busy on election day, vote now. And so kind of just getting out that vote, making sure people know, using social media to our advantage to get people out at the polls, both young people and then also people from all walks of life. And so to answer your question in terms of young people and social media, obviously we're all plugged in. We're all on Twitter, we're all on Instagram, we're all on Snapchat. So using those platforms kind of to gauge youth interest is really big, because right now, and really throughout all of American history, we've seen that youth voter turnout is pretty low in comparison to other ages. And so for the first time ever in 2019, millennials now make up the biggest chunk of voters in the country. Wow. So they've surpassed baby boomers in the amount of people who are voting. And yet we still see lower turnout rates. And I think a lot of that does have to do with the fact that, a youth voter is somebody between the ages of 18 and 30. So it's somebody who may not have access to a car, may not have access or really time. A lot of these people are in school, a lot of these people have full-time jobs, people who are just entering the workforce. So it's a very difficult time to go and get out the vote. It's a difficult time to volunteer. It's a difficult time to make sure you know when your upcoming election is. I mean, I know countless people who have missed their local municipal elections because it's not as talked about. It's not on the news as much. It's something that you might see in your local newspaper, but how many youth voters are reading the local newspaper? Sure. So for us, I think social media, at least in that campaign I worked on in 2021 with the city councilor back in Marlborough, we were able to use social media to garner youth attention, to get kids involved. The bulk of our volunteers were high school students, so people who weren't even able to vote, but were still out there knocking doors, making phone calls, showing up to events, because they realized how important it was. They saw the direct impact it had on our community, and I think that was really my first exposure into politics and my first exposure into being a movement builder, a change maker, and seeing that actually come to fruition.
Absolutely, and what better way to bring people into the fold than with digital communication? We all have, nearly all of us have a smartphone, and we can all communicate, and engaging those people before they even hit the legal voting age is so critical too, because you're able to get them thinking about what their role in the future of politics could be, just as a voter and as a citizen. You are obviously doing very important work, and engaging youth voters is so critical, especially in these 2022 midterms. How could other students get involved? What sort of things would you recommend, and do you have any advice?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have, 4 days to go before the midterms. I have a lot of friends, both here in Massachusetts, but friends who go to school elsewhere who are getting involved in the elections that are closest to them. And so I think that goes back to my point at the beginning. All politics is local politics. So if you are, in an area where you don't know much about the local politics, maybe the statewide politics, learn a little bit more about it. Kind of dip your toe in and see what you can find. And I think that you'll be surprised at the amount of opportunities that come up. Obviously, there are an exponential amount of races going on, over a 4-year time. We have, the big general elections, the big every 4 years we vote for president. Then we have the midterms. And in between that, we have really important municipal elections. So that was my first exposure, was getting involved in a local municipal campaign. And I would definitely recommend that to anybody, especially, with 4 days left before the midterms. Don't overlook 2023. I know we're all looking towards 2024, big presidential election. We're all very excited. I personally am very excited. But I think that 2023 is a great opportunity to get involved, whether it's here in Boston, whether it's in your hometown. There's all sorts of politics going on. So kind of finding that local politics to inspire you is really the big ticket for me. That's what got me going. And I know a lot of my friends, same deal. They worked in local politics. I personally, after that campaign, I then worked in the mayor's office in my hometown last year. So very much a localized start, and then that kind of branches out to opportunities that you wouldn't expect. So definitely. Yeah.
Wow, absolutely. Thank you so much, Trey.
Of course.
Once again, Trey Ficillo, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody stay tuned for more election night coverage.
Thanks to Trey for speaking with us tonight on our midterm election special. We now go live to the Maura Healey campaign at the Fairmont Copley Hotel in Boston, where Lieutenant Governor-elect Kim Driscoll is speaking.
Rooting and soothing in every corner of the state, stood together at rallies, participating in candidate forums, who marched from parades, not on horns. Along the way, I saw the people who made this state run. Unsung heroes who were second and third shifts, instructed small business owners in every community who now to be closer, now we work harder to address inflation. Our teachers, first responders, and healthcare workers who put it all on the line. Wanting our public service, Mr. Burgers, show every day, don't always take the credit they deserve. You all rely on your hard work. And while studying around Massachusetts, I saw firsthand the unique trust atmosphere that exists in our region. I saw the familiar challenges you face. I want you to know tonight, those are the people who face us. Maura and I will bring with us to the Grand Rocks. See, it's simple. People who are innocent and late. Small of our daily lives, we can be able to live and thrive in Massachusetts. Period. Full stop. Those are the faces, the voices spoken by the local people in this state. We know they come January, we have some tough challenges ahead. But Beato, as I look around this room, I think you can all agree, we can do hard things. We don't settle. We lead. Most of us go our mission. We dedicate ourselves to fixing what we don't know here. We want to learn. We want to do things walk and let the country see them. Represent them. Now I know you didn't like 250 for your office and sit around and hope that somebody else is going to do the job. We need leaders who understand and empower our communities, who are in the trenches, making the tough decisions, leading the fight, keeping the world together, who have the balance of our infrastructure. We need the Commonwealth that works for and welcomes all. It's what drives me, it's what drives Maura. We see every challenge as an opportunity. These towns rely on strong state partners, and the success of this Commonwealth relies on private communities. It's not enough for some of our communities to do well, or a fraction of our communities to have stable housing, or only some of our kids to have access to quality healthcare. We want to bring the next step on Krosin, so that all of our communities have a right to live. My friends, it's time for a leader who understands that people are hungry for real action on being held. For an experienced executive who's not right now for taking up big pharma or big oil or the gun lobby. A leader who always stands up for our reproductive freedoms. I'm a leader who's ready to be a partner in government, demonstrate experience, integrity, and transparency. Are you ready for a leader? Are you ready for a teammate that knows the people of this Commonwealth are at the center of what we do? Are we ready for a leader with vision and creativity? One who can catch them behind the back path? She's ready to lead, and are you ready to hear from her? Folks, this is a moment of history.
I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight because of the people across the state who've taken the time to talk with me about their lives and their dreams, what they want and what they need. Your stories have driven everything that I've done. To those who voted for me, and to those who didn't, I want you to know I'll be a governor for everyone. And I'll work with anyone who's up for making a difference in this state. I want you to know I understand what you feel. I understand where you are. And I'm going to do everything in my power to help you. Thank you to my incredible campaign team and all the volunteers. Thank you to my friends and family who stood by me and supported me. Especially to my mom for showing me at an early age what it means to be strong.
Thank you for joining us on Election 2022 by WEBN Political Pulse.
You can check out more on our website, WEBN.tv. I'm Faith Pinnow.
And I'm Sam DeCoste. Have a nice night.